Gaudy glass? Ruth Ford's lifetime of Carnival glass collecting.
Don't break it now, because it's beautiful.
Ruth started collecting Carnival glass in the early 1960s after she was given a piece by her mother-in-law. This piece had been admired by Ruth, and she always warned her mother-in-law not to break it. One Christmas it was presented to Ruth with the charge that now it was her turn not to break it. Carnival glass was so named by later collectors because it was given away at carnivals toward the end of its initial popularity. Originally, it had several names including iridescent, Etruscan, luster, aurora, and Egyptian, or Egyptian metallized glass. Iridized glass was made to mimic the expensive art glass made at Tiffany Studios and their competitors, thus the nickname Poor Man's Tiffany. The array of colors and patterns gave average households a means to decorate their homes inexpensively.
I've heard some people call it Gaudy glass, but I try to correct them.
The pressed mold technique used to create Carnival glass meant it could be made quickly and cheaply. After removal from the mold, the glass was reheated and its final shape perfected and sprayed with metallic salts by hand to give Carnival glass its trademark iridescence. This picture was taken inside the H. Northwood and Company factory. Glassmaking was a skill that took years to master, and glassmakers started training at a young age. Carnival glass was primarily made in the United States, although some foreign companies also produced iridized glass.
Originally, they were made because art glass, which came from Europe, was so expensive and the average American could not buy those, so they started making pattern glass, and it became very popular, and it was so inexpensive in the beginning that every household could afford some of it if they wanted.
This piece mimics etched glass. Actual etched glass is a time-consuming and therefore expensive process. This look was duplicated faster and at a lower cost using a mold.
When I was collecting, I'd say, "Oh, I don't have one that looks like that." I might have had the same pattern, but each looks different.
Both of the pieces were made by the Fenton Art Glass Company and feature a pattern named Pinecone. Notice how dissimilar they appear despite the shared pattern. These variations are caused by the finishes, including the amount of iridescence and the edge treatment. Although mass-produced, Carnival glass was made and finished by a skilled workforce. Swung vases were formed by reheating the glass after molding, and then literally swung by the glassmaker to achieve the desired length. The variety of lengths is attributed to how tired the glassmaker was. Longer vases were usually made at the beginning of the day. They were noticeably shorter towards the end of the shift. Patterns from Carnival glass companies often overlapped because several founders worked with or for each other at some point in time. Some of these men were also related by blood or marriage. The two examples feature a pattern called Grape and Cable by collectors. The patterns are nearly identical, but they were made by different companies. Carnival glass was sold cheaply or simply given away at stores. Sellers included Five and Dimes, Sears Roebuck and Company, and Butler Brothers. Later it would be offered as a prize at carnivals. One important seller was Lee Manufacturing, a food and pharmaceutical company that sold products to rural areas through lady agents. Carnival glass was an incentive for both buyers and agents.
As I look around, it's hard to pick which would be my favorite.
Ruth's appreciation for Carnival glass increased as she started to learn more about it. Her research and time spent collecting are the inspirations for this display. As Ruth started collecting and learning about Carnival glass, she was fascinated by the combinations of patterns and colors. Carnival glass, with its array of vivid colors, was primarily used to brighten the homes of the early 20th century. This example of green glass is from a European manufacturer.
The way you see the real color is to hold it to the light. Then you can see the true color of the glass because the iridescent changes it so much.
The iridescence of this piece blocks the original color. However, as Ruth observes, when the light hits it the right way, you can see the deep blue inside. Red glass was often made by adding gold, but the method was expensive and the glass could not be pressed into shape. In the 1920s, a new technique was discovered for making pressed red glass using selenium as an additive. When initially heated, selenium-treated glass turns yellow. It was then reheated to turn it red. The temperature at both stages needed to be carefully monitored or the color change would not occur. For this reason, red was still a rare color. Opalescent and Vaseline glass are distinct glass types that were finished with iridescence to make some interesting effects. The opalescent effect was made by adding phosphate, arsenic, or bone ash to the glass. The result was a milky white color around the edges and sometimes further. Vaseline or uranium glass has a small amount of uranium, giving its trademark color and causing it to glow under a black light. The radiation given off by the glass is about the same as that given off by a microwave oven.
Every once in a while, you'll run into a piece that you haven't seen or didn't realize they made.
Pitchers were popular household items, and for this reason, Carnival pitchers can be found in a large variety of shapes, colors, and styles. Sets usually consist of a pitcher and at least 6 matching cups. Fruit was a common decorative device in the early 20th century that included both home decor and fashion. In Carnival glass, fruit was most often depicted as plump, ripe, and still on the vine. Peacocks became popular after March 31, 1854, when Japan opened its borders to trade. John Fenton, the founder of Millersburg Glass Company, loved peacocks so much he owned several which were allowed to roam freely around the grounds of his plant. The popularity of peacocks resulted in the multiple pattern variations found in Carnival glass.
I guess the parents probably didn't mind if it broke. It didn't cost anything.
Since Carnival glass was colorful and inexpensive, it was perfect for children's toys. Illustrated books were widely available to the public for the first time and became the inspiration for the above kittens design. The building on this piece is the Illinois Soldiers and Sailors Home, founded in 1886 to house wounded veterans from the Mexican and Civil Wars. Commemorative glass like this piece offers a rare glimpse of how the building looked in the early 20th century. Animals and nature were major inspirations during the Victorian era and the Art Nouveau movement. Animal types range from domestic to wild beasts and even mythological dragons. Flowers have been an influence in the decorative arts for centuries. During the late 19th and early 20th centuries, elaborate floral arrangements were used to decorate the home. Opening trade with China and Japan caused a craze for exotic designs, including chrysanthemums.
Some people are interested in one thing and some the other. I have a couple of pieces of cut glass, 1 or 2 that were my mother's, and so forth. And I think it's beautiful, but I still like the Carnival glass more.